Hello, farmers. This video I want to share with you how to make a sustainable business plan for your vegetable garden. So this is the thing that you should do before you start out your garden. It's very, very, very important. And so the different things that we're going to talk about, like why you need a plan, and then I want to share about the 7 steps that make up a business plan, and then how do you do continuous follow-up so that you have a really sustainable plan. So when I say sustainable, you need something that will help you keep in production all the time. So a business plan is not one thing that you make, it's a thing that you continuously improve to be in line with your goals. Uh, so, so why do we need this business plan? Why you need a plan? So, most beginner farmers enjoy just going their journey, producing only for the first season. They just expectant only the first season. But a few really, really, really plan to stage themselves in production to have a continuous growing season uh, that is not just for only the first year but for more than just one growing season. So they tend to find themselves producing just planning on producing for more than just one season. So usually, of course, like most beginner farmers usually have that thing. They have only the picture of their first season. So they don't know that they started their garden as a business that must be sustained for more than just a single season. Yeah, it is for this reason that they make short-term plans that are costing them really, really big losses. So, first of all, they don't prepare to stage themselves in the market to be able to find the stability that produces continuously in production. And I believe the biggest reason why most farmers act this way is because they never treat this venture they're doing as a real business. To some, it's some kind of traditional go-to activity that that they do for leisure, but not really as a business. So I remember one individual told me that for them, they'll start their garden in their retirement age. That place when they're retired, that's when they will start their vegetable garden. So to them, like agriculture is just an activity for people who are in the old age. So they usually picture an old person holding a stick, running around to manage his farm just because he's tired of living in the city and working in city areas. So that's how most people view farming. And so the one thing that we should know that people don't stop to eat food when they grow old. Food is a daily necessity for people to survive and live healthy and good lives. See, research states that approximately 2.7 billion deaths annually can be attributed to inadequate fruit and vegetable consumption. So we need vegetables. So farmers who are really, really continuously adapting every other day to find their place in the market through improving their production and releasing both quality and quantity food will have a bigger relevance in the market. Yeah, so it is this reason why you need to keep track of your progress through a business plan. This is the secret that makes most farmers become successful. So you need to be in control of your production process. Why you need a business plan is you need to be in control, have a sense of control of your production process. So first of all, you need to keep a track of your progress. Uh, Let me read you this quote. The trick to sustaining a farm and prospering is to understand the entire growing process and the supply chain. So you need to know what happens from the start to the finish for you to be able to keep track of your growing journey as a beginner farmer. So most beginner farmers will struggle to find their stability in the market because they are not in control of their own production process. So they don't know how much they expect from a desired crop they want to grow. Some they don't know where they will be selling their produce. They don't know what tasks are really involved in the production. And many of these activities that are so pivotal to the success of their vegetable gardens. So you may not really actually know whatever you need on the growing journey unless you have really started out to do all the things. So you must have an entire picture of how everything will flow for you to be able to make continuous adjustments for progress that set you uh, above other vegetable farmers. You may not know, like, you're starting out, you don't know every other activity that is involved there because a perfect plan is not there. A plan is what we adjust when we start out, but you need to have at least from what people have done, you need to have a picture of what really happens uh, in the garden before you start. Because you see, you mean knowing the plan, of course, does not really guarantee success for your starting journey, but it gives you a full picture of what it needs to be done and the template for you to be able to improve after you first harvest and sales. So you need to make better strategies. And you don't have to be guessing every time you're doing whatever you're supposed to be doing. So you need to have at least a sense of control of your garden as you're starting out. So the secret to this is making a business plan that allows you to improve, to become a better farmer while improving your production later on. So business plan lays out your expectation from the business. It sets out objectives, activities that will help you reach out your intentions. Of course, this of course is not a typical activity done by very many farmers. It's of course what separates the successful farmers and those that are really mediocre. So you should choose which side to be you want to be in this. So you need to write these things down on paper. So it's best done for you to make a business plan when you write down things on paper. This places the activity in your mind. It reminds you of your objectives. So whenever you write down things, you are actually reminded of your objectives. So because things that are not written down tend to fly off and they just stay as dreams. So remember that the goal is to have a sense of control over your garden. So the question you should ask yourself for this stage that is, what is involved in a good business plan? And that is what takes us to the next level. So I'm going to share with you the 7 things that to consider in your plan that will always you always have to work on to become a better farmer in every growing season. Remember, you're not just producing for one season, you're staging yourself to produce for at least 5 seasons and above. And so you need to make decisions that help you not only plan for the first season, but that help you plan for more than just a single season. And so the first thing you need to set objectives. So the biggest mistake most beginner farmers make is that they start their gardening journey with no clear end of how much they want to produce with what they have. So the greatest asset here, of course, is land. You should have land. So your land size determines the capacity of the production or the crop you choose to grow. So begin by choosing the first type of vegetable crop you want to grow, either tomatoes uh, or cabbages. It depends on what you want to grow. Eggplants, any vegetable that you want to start with. So find a guide teaching you how to grow the crop. That's the second thing you should do as a setting objective. Find someone you're growing with. Because you need to know how to grow the crop before you actually start to grow the crop. Because if you have none, I have a guides that I can help out with to help you start. Yeah, but you need to find someone that you go with on the growing journey. So I also you need to determine how much you can grow in the land. Of course, when you know the expected land size that you have, you need to know to determine how much you can grow. So find your land size, and from your land size, determine the returns that you expect from that land, whether they will make you happy or not. So, for example, growing tomatoes using the space of 50 centimeters to 50 centimeters, and on a land size of 500 meters squared. So, what happens? So I'll do my calculations here, the number of plants that I need, 50 on a 50 meters plot of land. So I divide the area of the land, divide by the spacing of the land, and I'll get the number of plants that will fit on my land size. And so the next thing I do, remember I said write down these things on paper. That's why I'm trying to illustrate these things down on paper. So the next thing you do is check the average production of each plant. Usually the packaging materials show that. So multiply the kilograms times the number of plants. The kilograms you expect per plant by the number of plants that will be planted on your land size. I've just given an example of this one because to just show you. So it depends. When you have 1 acre, you should calculate 1 acre should do that. So you divide by the spacing of you're going to use for the plant that you're supposed to be growing. So you can't know this information, like I said, until you've at least done some research before of what spacing is needed. So you need to get a guide that has grown that will let you know about the spacing. So I estimated returns from the average production. We need to get now the returns in terms of monetary value. So in case each kilo of maybe tomatoes is a big B shillings. So how will I get the estimated returns? I will get the estimate. Will get the 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 production per plant times the number of plants times the price. So that I'll have a picture of the estimated returns. So that my set objectives. How much do I estimate to get from my garden? So you must illustrate this down on the paper. So everything by the way we do on this stage will also everything will have to be on paper. So let's go to our second thing that we do. So the next thing you do in your business plan, identify the main activities that are involved in the crop cycle. So most beginner farmers are doing activities that do not meet their goals. They're wasting a lot of time on things that do not bring the harvest they want. So you are there seeking advice from people who are not even in the same practice of your desired crop. You go on ahead and you acquire equipment that you will not even use. You employ people you don't need. So you lay your costs way high because you're not sure which activities are really involved from start to finish. So you start to hate agriculture because it's weighing you down with a lot of expenses or things you cannot afford because you're putting in very many things that are not needed. So it's not agriculture that is necessarily expensive, because of the costs that are high. It's because that you are not deliberate about what you have to spend on in the entire process. So you remember you're spending your money, you're spending time, you're spending energy, you're going to spend resources. So you will have to produce a lot with the fewest resources available. So if an activity is not crucial, you will have to eliminate it. So that's why you need to write down the activities that you need that are involved in the whole process. So or sometimes you'll need an activity that you missed out in the first place, and you will need to put it. Like I said, the plan is for very many seasons. You keep on improving it. So for first timers, you do not know how much of what needs to be done, or you don't know what activities are involved. So you need to ask someone. You need to get an array of activities to be done from the land preparation to when you sell the produce to the market. So the fastest way, of course, to get to do this is to go to the internet and just type in the crop guide PDF for your desired crop. Or ask the farmer that is already doing the activity to help you out with the different activities that are involved from start to finish. Like I said, this may not be perfect, but you need to have at least a clear picture of where you're going before you start. That when you start, you can know what is happening in the business and you can know which activities you are going to eliminate while you're going to do. So of course, I did this also down on paper. So I listed down the activities that are involved. I know there's land preparation, there's in production. So I list down every activity that is involved from start to finish, from land preparation until you go to the market. So you need to list down all those activities. They give you at least a sense of picture of what really happens. Yeah, it may not be perfect, but this goes on improving with production time. So the next thing that you do, you need to detail the tasks. The tasks. So every task that is done has detailed activities that are involved in it. So you need to break down the tasks for more clarity. So the clearer the activities involved, the easier for you to have a sense of control of what happens in the garden. So you need to detail them on paper. The tasks that we did in the previous section, you need to do a little details about the activity. So if you're saying land preparation, it's a big thing. You need to break down land preparation into a different few steps. So you know that land preparation is clearing, there's plowing, there's also basal fertilization, applying fertilizers in the garden, both inorganic and organic fertilizers. So you also need to choose a seed variety. So you should set the different things that are involved in choosing seed variety. There's variety type, amount of seed packs you need. You need to calculate the amount of seed packs you need to plant maybe in your land size. So you also nursery, you also detail the tasks that are involved in nursery. You need to build the nursery, you need to buy trays, you need to do sowing, you need to do seedling production and management. So all try to detail down the different tasks that are involved in the business plan. So by the way, this will help you become very good very fast because you're in control of your own production. So number 4, you need to determine the resources and inputs and when they are needed. So most farmers acquire inputs that are not relevant to be used in the garden. Some can be accessed when they actually not needed in the first place. Some may be needed at a time and yet are not available. So you need to write down the resources that you will need for those different activities. So such mistakes are, if you're not keen, they can cause gaps in the whole process of your production, and this will always be seen in the visual start of your harvests because you do not plan for the tools that you'll be using in your garden. So always have this in mind that whatever you do, between choosing the right seed to harvest, has a great effect, has really a great effect on your desired returns. So you must be deliberate about every step you make to reduce the mistakes that would cost you losses. So array the activities down, array the resources, down, and when they will be needed. So it's the activities: clearing land, what resources do I need to clear land, I will need labor, when do I need it in the first week, because sometimes some resources may not really be available at that time, and you don't want to have those gaps. You need to know maybe and how much money will I have to look for in case maybe this is after transplanting. I will need to buy insecticides and pesticides. If I don't have the money that time, so I go and look for the money and plan to have it in place when that time comes. So the next stage is compute input quantity and costs. This is the next stage that we you do make are involved in. So now your inputs need to be valued. Your resources need to be valued. So they need a price tag alongside them. So this is where this is where your money and your savings, your hard earned money and loans that you go and get will go. Uh, this is where you get to know how much you need to spend into the venture. So with every input that you detailed down in the previous stage, make sure you place a price tag to it, just like I did here. I knew I was planting this number of plants. Uh, I'm planting 2,000 plants. Usually there's a correction of 30% that even if I buy 2,000 seeds, there will always be a loss. Okay, not always, but there's always a correction loss for 30%. You need to plan for the 30% in case the seedlings don't work out. Usually we don't receive 100% survival of our seedlings unless you're good with the skill, but most especially if you're starting out, usually expect a 30%. So you add on at least a 30%, so you get 2,600 plants. So you will need 2,600 seeds. So one tray has D holes, number of trays. So you need to buy also number of trays. These are number of trays you will need. This is how you calculate them. So your cost of a tray um, is age. So you multiply the total cost of a tray because yeah, number of seeds divided by number of holes in a tray gives you the number of trays that you need. So this is just an example of one of the part of the cost that you need to calculate. That this is now for the seeds, but you also will need to cater for your labor. How much money do I need to input in labor? How much money do I need to input in other things that are needed for my garden? The next thing you need to do for your garden is to estimate the actual yield returns. You need to evaluate the expected yield returns, actual ones. Of course, the first one was just giving us the capacity of our land. But now the business plan, you need to get the actual one. Because yeah, the hardest to hear is that you won't have 100% survival of all your garden plants. Not all of them will give you the stated yield on the packaging material. So agriculture is like any other business. It's a risky venture. You face risks like uncertain weather changes, pests and diseases, skill gaps, more that will affect the yield potential of your garden. So you can never completely run away from these risks, but you will have to find ways to reduce the effects in your garden so that you have the best of your design. At least we expect a 70% survival on your garden on average if you've done if you've taken into account some of the that some crops will get diseased along the way, some will not give you the yield potential along the way. So your farming skill mistakes may also be lacking. And some unforeseen circumstances that can happen in the garden. So we expect at least an average yield of 7%. But of course, our goal is to always produce above the average. But at least on average, you expect at least a yield return of 70%. So you need to calculate the estimate the actual yield return. The first calculation we got of 2,000 plants, we are determining the potential capacity of our land. But now remember, you also did a calculation of the seed per packets where you have to include in more. So you know, this is now the reality of what really happens in the garden. So estimate the yield returns. So you know at least you have 2,000 plants, like we calculated on the start. On your garden, the ones you expect to plant on your garden. But usually, uh, there's a total survival of 70% for all the plants. So your garden recovery is always 70%. So usually this is the recovery for plants. And so yeah, you may not expect all the 2,000 because I told you the different risks that come about. And so if these are the plants that will survive actually, if you've done the good skills, you've done everything very well, this is the survival. You can produce, like I said, way above 70% if your skills are way better and good. But on average, we expect at least a 70% survival. So you calculate again kilos per plant. You say that AKGs, total kilos per tomato plant, A times 4,500. That's the number of plants. Then the price per kg is B. So we calculate the total returns, which are 1,400 plants that we expect to survive times the returns, the average kilos per plant of tomatoes, that is AKGs, times the price, that is the shillings or dollars or whatever value that you have in your country. So yeah, these kilograms usually stated and depends on the hybrid plant that you planted. They tell you that this is the amount of harvest that on average that you expect to get from this hybrid plant. How many kilos do you expect to get? Some countries they count in basins. How many basins of tomatoes do you expect? So it depends on what specifics are in your country. But typically the standard is we measure the tomatoes that we're harvesting in form of kilograms. So you need to get this packaging material. So also this price, you need to know this price because from the market. You need to go to the market and understand what the price these people are selling you at. Or yeah, it can be the farm gate price. Maybe you want to sell from your farm, from your garden directly. People just come and buy, or you take into the garden directly. Either way, you need to find out the price that you need. So the total returns, actual returns, that. So we move to the next step. This is the last step. So you need to also calculate your potential benefits um, from the garden. So most beginner farmers, of course, enter the agriculture business when they're not yet sure about the investment, whether the investment was worth it. So because they don't know the expected profits. So they're either usually focused on the returns and not the profits themselves. Just want to see a big harvest, but they're not really focused on the profits, that must come out. So this is the point where you decide that either the business is worth me investing in or not. So once you see the profits that will come out, are they worth you investing in the business or not? Of course, like I said, this is done before you do the actual thing. You're doing this thing on paper before you go into the business. At least you need to know the digits. Usually, someone said digits don't lie. Yeah, you may not get the digits right in the first place, but as you continue to improve your skill, you realize that the digits are even improved. So digits don't lie. You need to put down things in digits. So is it feasible for you to put in your money? You should also know that. So you should really happily invest your money and don't start blaming other people for your mistakes because you took the risks that you knew was worth it in the first place. So you made a deliberate decision to invest your money. So you will not need to be blaming other people for your decisions. You took on the deliberate decisions. You were happy about it. So you will need to place all your calculations into a spreadsheet. For that, you need to know how to use a computer. Put everything into a spreadsheet and how things should go. Of course, if you have no computer knowledge, you can still proceed with paperwork. You can write down things in paperwork and go to illustrate, of course, on the spreadsheet on the next slide. So I got this sample from one of the sites called East West. But East West is where I get most of my information that I share with you. Yeah, they have good courses. You can go and check them out. They are good courses that you can able to do. And most especially if you want to learn how to do vegetable gardening very well. Yeah, I took one of the courses there and it was really, really impactful. You can do it's close to 8 weeks. Yeah, check them out. East West Seed, just run right. East West Seed Company courses. You will be able to get the courses there. And yeah, so I got this one. Well, this one was one done by a farmer after now production. The This was not a budget plan because there are two plans. There's a budget plan, then there's a plan that has been improved after actual execution. So this was a plan that was improved after actual execution. So they were able to yield this, and the net profit that they got from the farm was this. So you need to put these things in a spreadsheet like this. So this is the activities they did. On the date they started selling production, the seed cost them this amount. Yeah, so these are the things that were laid down from start to finish. Pest management, this is happened on this date. Remember I told you last time, not last time, remember I told you when we were starting on the video, that you need to lay down all these activities down. Okay, this is now after. This is now after thing is done. After you now go to the harvest, you need also to write it down to see and track how much you produce. But the first plan, of course, entails only this. It has the activities, uh, the items needed there and their costs, and then the dates anticipated them to be there. So these are activities are also important. If you so you're going tomato, there's a variety. Is that number of plants to be planted at that? Your area of planting is that. So date of sowing is that. So pH, these things are maybe if you did soil testing, you need to put down the pH. Did you employ an extension worker? Who was that person? Yeah, so you need to write down this plan like that. I said if you can't do this thing on an Excel sheet paper, you need to write it down on paper, what you need to have. So your business plan will look like this. Of course, over time, you go on improving, you keep on checking. So I harvested this last time. Uh, did I improve my harvest? What did I do? Which activity was not necessary? Uh, yeah, of course, yeah. If you need, of course, this plan, you need to maybe design with me. You can always reach out to me. Work it out together and how to make this plan with you. But yeah, so that's how you make it. If you're going to do it on your own, that's how you do it and make it out. Okay, lastly, according to our outline, I wanted to share with you how now do you assess your business plan when everything has been finished up? So how do you assess? Because I said you're not producing from one production cycle. You need to keep on like improving and improving and improving what you have done over time. So if your plan works out, hmm, after calculating all the costs and returns, and you see that this is good, the profit is good. If the costs are too high, you need to review them. Okay, let me first share the first point. If your plan works out and calculating all the costs and returns, and you see this is good, so what's the investment? Go for it. Go and do the business. But if the costs are way too high, uh, you need to first go back also in your plan and review your plan. Yeah, this is the thing that you do every season. When the season ends, you need to sit down with your plan and check out the things that you did not do well. Of course, along the journey, you can always evaluate your plan. But if the costs were too high, you need to review which are inputs you need to remove. Uh, which things didn't you do well? You need to review a plan every after season either you remove inputs or you need to work on some skills, or you need to employ other people. Yeah, so you need to work out those things to make sure that your plan is improving every other time. So so you store this plan. Uh, so you need to go back during course, during the season, during back and forth to make sure your plan matches the goals that you desire. That every other season you're improving and improving and improving, but with a plan, you know what to do. Your plan, of course, is not only in the head. Of course, you've done it practically. You know what things you need. That's why I said at the start there is no perfect plan. The plan goes on and improving. Of course, the starting one is a budget plan, but you go on improving a budget plan. Sometimes you underestimated the activities and you put in too little money, and it was too high. So your first season, of course, teaches you very, very many things that uh, you don't know. That's why I emphasize you need to use your first season. And yeah, of course, if you're struggling to start your vegetable garden, I've always created a guide. I have a guide. This video, you found it on YouTube. You can check in the description below. But you can also reach out to my social media. There's always links to the guide. You're able to find it there. Always either in the descriptions and or in the about section. I share the information there. If you need to be educated about different things that you need to learn about vegetable gardening, seed choosing variety, what happens in nursery, how do I get markets, how do I do this, which mistakes should I avoid, and yeah, all those things I've tried written them down in my vegetable plan. So check it out in the description if you really, really need it. Yeah, so you need to add or remove your activities depending the relevance of your goals. You need to adjust your team members at the farm in case you need to adjust what will help you to move forward. Like there are things that you need to learn, you'll need to work on them. So an assessment, better plan is what you can keep on improving every after every season. Again, there's no perfect business plan. Every plan, a good business plan is a replica of what you are doing, is a representation of what you are doing in your garden physically. So you need to go to the garden. Once you do the budget plan, you need to go to the garden and do the work, know what is involved there physically. Yeah. So the essential, the importance of you having the first one is just to give you the head knowledge and a sense of control. You're not guessing. You know what happens next. Yeah. Then there's a practical budget, a practical plan. Of course, you're going into and exercise what you need. Otherwise, thanks for watching. I hope this video was helpful, and I wish you a great harvest. Uh, let's meet in any other resources that I'll be sharing that will help us become better farmers. Right. Next time.